All right, we're about to get started, I think. I think so. I think audio is working. I think camera's working now. I think I can hear the music on my end, which is good. Check. Excellent. Instagram's up. That's always the Worrier. 30 seconds-ish. Let's get it together. Chat room, welcome to the show. Hi, everybody. Good to see you. Hit that like, share the show. It's Hal Sparks Mornings, Megaworldwide, and boy, is it ever. I got a quick question before we go on to today's current unpleasantness. I got a quick question for you guys. How many of you have been up since about 4 o'clock in the morning discussing the ego of behind the egomaniacal nature of thinking you can upload your consciousness to a computer? Just me. Just I'm the only one. I'm the only one that seems to be bumping up against this horse shit. Now, where did this come from? Besides, this is where my brain goes kind of all the time, and that I have a I have a reflex that could be best described. I'm not the actually type in terms of nerdiness. I'm not the kind of person who, while other people are discussing, goes, actually, because I do enough of that on the show. You could almost call this show Actually with Hal Sparks. And it's not a bad idea. As a matter of fact, we might add a new show just once a week called Actually with Hal Sparks. But I am one of those people who I'm like, where it gets so hard to keep my mouth shut about some of the more kind of ridiculous things that get floated around, where I'm like, okay, so why this thought now? Cortical, where am I doing it? Cortical, yeah. So, a new company called Cortical Labs has created a computer chip that uses human neurons to learn and develop skills, because they are kind of built for it. So they took human skin cells and they overlaid them onto a silicon chip and used the neurons created by the human tissue as the connecting and learning matrix that allowed for their particular AI to learn a skill much faster and cleaner, basically. And not even using, by the way, these are not brain cells they took out of somebody's head. They took skin cells and made the neurons out of them. And so these are effectively nerve synapses that are very super efficient, and they require very little energy compared to other kinds of computer stuff. That obviously, regular silicon chips, electronics, which move electrons around, which is a very heat and energy intensive activity. There's been a lot of moves towards quantum computing and photonics, which is probably the next thing, which I'm very excited for the idea of photonics, because it sounds very Star Trek just talking about it. This is my new photonic gaming device. You see what I mean? Sounds much better than this is the new Xbox. So, and by the way, I've always thought that Xbox just sounds like something you miss after the breakup, but I digress. Join the new era of computing and deploy your technology directly to real neurons located on the CL1A, distributed on the Cortical Cloud. So, to be clear, this is not just a discovery. This isn't a study showing, that it's possible. This is already a business. You can buy the actual chip that has the human neurons attached to it. It in its current stance, I think it has a shelf life of like 6 months that they survive. It's a test lab, so you have to kind of I don't know if they give you a little like container and you just goop some more on like icing at this point. But they have if you don't want to do the cortical neuron gooping yourself, you can use their cloud service, which sends your computing to this neural net, literally a neural net, right? Where these they lab grow neurons on silicon chips, and you can actually the thing to build. By the way, if you built one of these yourself, is about it cost them about $35,000. So it cost anybody else probably 50, but not much more than that. And depending on how you could scale it up, or if you could at all, and what your family would put up with in your garage, the smell, you could probably achieve close to their business model in a matter of months, which means that other countries and other less ethical business people are already doing this, I'd like to say. And so the idea that there isn't, knowing what we know about Epstein and his crew, and Chinese billionaires getting dissident kidneys, and the experiments done by the Russians on their own citizens and the like, and Africans, they're big on gathering those folks up and sticking things in them. That this is probably happening in some sort of non-commercial, militaristic, awful, terrible way someplace already. Yep. So this though is I'm curious about the ethical questions you guys might have about. Does it achieve consciousness? Is it a living thing? I'm sure most of us on the pro-choice side of things can recognize the difference between a cluster of cells and a conscious human being. But you can expect that this is one of the next big colliding trains between maggots and the evangelical maggots and the technocratic maggots. This is watch for. I'm sure Glenn Beck is planning his segment on this right now. He just feels weak when he's talking about these quantum level, computing stuff and neurological computers using a chalkboard, or maybe it's like he feels like it brings him back home or something, or anchors him in reality or some shit like that. But the point is that they're training AIs using these biological neurons because they are more efficient energy-wise than regular electronics, and they're the first to go commercial with it. They will not be the last. I'm sure this will trigger a race around these things, but and by the way, you can research on it. You can literally use it for whatever you're doing. If you're trying to come up with some new video game and you need to train an AI to help develop it, that good old Cortical Labs. I don't think they're in the United States. They're in Melbourne, Australia, and they got Hong Wen Chung and Brett Kagan and David Hagen and Andrew Doherty, all the fellas over there at the Cortical team. As pioneers in biological computing, we're the first team to demonstrate real-world applications and even taught neurons to play Pong. Currently, they have a computer with these neurons that they've taught to play Doom. So I hope these cells are from a teenager, so that it's not, not that Doom isn't a fun game. Maybe it should be Gen Xer. It's like it's caught in this like Doom loop of nostalgia. Who hasn't been there? But We're building computing architectures that dramatically reduce energy consumption while creating tools to accelerate medical research, eliminate animal testing, and improve human health for all. Now, one of the reasons why human health? Well, one of the things you can do with these neurons is limit them in the ways that you see Alzheimer's affecting them, or you limit them in the ways that dementia or other brain diseases impact these neurons, or neuropathy happens in your sense organs and the like. And they could test those damages on these particular neurons, these replicated neurons, on top of the silicon chip, which could see if they could check what's stopping the flow, what opens the flow up. You could test drugs for Alzheimer's and the like without having to test it on human beings. Hi, Georgina. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Sorry, did I get too nerdy right out of the gate? I'm just trying to irritate the end times people that the world intends to spin on without them. I don't know if they know this, but the vast majority of humanity, even when they are practitioners of religion, are not bought in on the idea that the world is going to end, and soon, and it should. It's a very small window of human beings. I did. Sorry, Karen. There you go. It's bound to happen. It's just one of those things. And I literally had an argument about consciousness with ChatGPT this morning, specifically because of this. Because again, all of the large language models are regurgitating machines. By the way, you want to watch some neurons play Pong live? They have it on their website. These are brain cells that they created in a lab playing Pong, I guess, just in a loop. I hope this person, that the consciousness that was stolen from someone, that this is from Hitler's brain. That he's just stuck in this forever, like, book, book, like that. You could, if you're thinking of ways that you can imprison people in the future, this is probably cruel and unusual. I'm just saying. Or a game where it's all cutscenes. So, anyways, I got back and forth in this conversation because there's this. Yesterday we saw in a lot of these clips, from Candace Owens and others, that there's the overlapping maggot crowd right now. There are two primary groups that were always going to be at. They're ruining your sleep. Robbing my sleep. Yes, well, that's true. They're two overlapping groups, and they are irreconcilable. That would be the technocratic Darwinists in Trump world and in the Peter Thiel world and the like, who are happy to use religious people as pawns and happy to use religious imagery and language as a way of controlling those pawns, but don't buy into it themselves. And as a matter of fact, in a very Ayn Rand way, target people who are religious as being weak, not just because they believe in a big spaghetti monster in the sky or whatever, but because they believe in altruism. They believe in the principles that Jesus taught and the like, and what kind of a sucker must you be to believe that you should save anybody but yourself, okay? And so these are the very same people who think that they're going to upload their consciousness into a computer at some point and live forever. And the problem I have with that, there's a bunch of them, but the biggest one is how do you know your conscience is, you'll still perceive you as you till the day you die. So how do you're just making a copy. How is this any more than like the updated version of building a library and filling it with your best-selling books? I know this is a deep philosophy. It's a little early for this kind of philosophy, but it is like essential to precisely how full of shit the Elon Musk and Peter Thiels are. Now, there is I think it's called the Theseus vessel theory, which is if you're sailing a ship across the ocean. Follow me on this. I know I've lost you, but you're sailing a ship across the ocean, and you replace every plank of wood in the boat one by one as you're sailing. I don't know how you do the ones on the bottom without flooding the I'm sure there's a way. I'm sure they've had to deal with this, maybe having guys pump the water out afterwards, and you make a layer over top of it, and then you put a couple guys in there, and then when they're done fixing it, you drown them and fuck them. That's what they're there for. I don't know. Anyways, so you built the ship. Is it the same ship as when you left? Now, the problem with this is the captain is the same. The people are the same. That would be the essence of the consciousness, right? But do they know that or care? Does the captain know it's a different ship when he arrives? And that's the kind of mechanical aspect of the human body and all this stuff. So here's how I think it's going to work, and this is how I've gone. And then we'll get to the news of how the idiots in the world are very afraid that the world's going to leave them behind and would rather burn it down into some sort of Bronze Age bullshit game of ping pong that we all have to live in forever. We'll get to that. And the fact that, evidence continues to mount that Trump is, can't decide whether it's at this point it almost seems like he thinks the Epstein files might be a good distraction from what a fucked up idea going into Iran was. So the ship of Theseus, I think that's how it's pronounced. Pardon me. I'm sure there's a smarty pants in the chat room that knows. Is that you don't know the ship has changed, but you're still you. And so the idea is, I think, and the only way you could do it is, over time, human beings, you got a Neuralink and you've got a computer thing where eventually you replace your eyes with machines, and you replace your ears with machines, and you replace your heart with machines, and all that kind of stuff. And then eventually you're perceiving through all these digital things. And at some point, the question is, are you not just a brain perceiving through a computer, and isn't that what you were the whole time? And then eventually, well, we'll fix this part of your brain. Do you still think this? Do you still experience everything after we've put in a digital prefrontal cortex? Yes, I just seem calmer and less apt to go gambling, I guess. And then the occipital region, all that kind of stuff. And eventually, it's all changed and you don't realize it. The problem is, up to that last split second where this brain gets cut off and the new one starts, you could still be a copy of you. That is does Marty McFly die every time he travels through time? Does Captain Kirk and everybody else die and then they're just reconstituted as copies someplace else? And is it really your consciousness, or does it wake up with this history and just behave like it's supposed to? Now, why would that be a thing? Well, I'll show you the other thing that came up that a digital fruit fly, ladies and gentlemen. If I may show you, there is a new fruit fly that was never born. They created this fruit fly. There is actually, if I can, I'll show you one of these. There is a fruit fly that these scientists basically mapped its neurons. The one inside the computer never lived, it's not like a copy. They trained the fruit fly's cells how to do it. They just took all the neurons in and the arrangement that they're in the brain of a fruit fly, mapped it by AI, inserted what it was, like without telling it it's a fruit fly, just saying, here's how the neurons are, this is a biological thing, and let it behave, and poof, it's a little walking fruit fly inside this. Let's see if I can if they show the little guy running around in the lab. On this one, they do not. But they scanned the entire brain, and then they broke it apart and how it works. And when they uploaded it into this thing, a little fruit fly appeared in this simulation, and it runs around like it's alive. Now, I would say a fruit fly's lifespan is about 24 hours, so this thing is going to go mad like it's going to be the vampire Lestat of fruit flies and lose its fucking mind in about 3 days, because because it would understand, written into its brain is its lifespan expectation and its mating expectation, and that can't happen. So they're going to have to, in the beginning there was nothing, and from the nothingness came a fruit fly, And the Lord said it was good as a fruit fly. And then it started to lose its shit. And so we gave it Lilith, the girly fruit fly, who was a little too yappy. And so we had to erase that one and put in this is the atom of fruit flies. And we made Eve, we have to make Eve fruit fly. And then this simulation will fill with digital fruit flies. And then we'll all learn a valuable lesson. And then we'll all understand how, yeah, great, a bunch of digital fruit flies, and it'll happen slowly, like most of us won't notice, and then we'll look down at our phone and there'll be fruit flies crawling inside the screen. What the fuck? And then somebody will sell an app that allows you to spray them digitally. Lord of the fruit flies. That's where we are right now. And then they also created. Let's see if I can show you this. They, yeah.
1,000 of them.
Hold on. So this is the Cortical Labs is the company, and this is the machine that is playing Doom all the time using human brain neurons. Yeah. You couldn't set it on another problem besides playing Doom? I mean, I understand playing games is a harmless way of doing it, but you couldn't just like upload everything we know about gravity and every measurement we've ever made about gravity and go, hey, solve gravitational propulsion for us. Let us know when you're done. I don't know. Like that would be useful, I suppose. Why do that when you can make it play Doom and show it to everyone? Now, granted, this would probably... These are quicker results, easier to do, right? Okay, now I know what you're thinking. Hal, it's not Friday Eye yet. I know. But this is where my brain is going on the regular. And this is, I had to explain to you the morning that I've had. Now, let's get started on today's news if we can. Let's scroll this down here and I'm going to show you something. You would think the most important war going on, get out of here. The most important war going on currently is the one that's happening in Iran. But no, ladies and gentlemen, you would be mistaken because it is actually the one between Trump and the rest of the Republican Party. This has been an ongoing issue. They're not going to get rid of the filibuster because they know it would be a terrible mistake to make right before a midterm that he is causing them to lose. How you need a massage is probably true. Yeah, yeah. I have a Theragun, but there are places I just can't reach. Yeah. I think this is about Tillis. Beg your pardon. Yeah. He's going at Massey on this one. Okay, so because he's also mad at the senators about this. I predict that Representative Thomas Massey will go down as the worst Republican congressman in the long and fabled history of the United States Congress. Yeah, here's his whole thing. Even worse than Crazy Liz Cheney, which he misspells. Chaney? Chani? Crying Adam Kinzinger, which we don't know why he's crying. I don't understand. He just adds crying to people because crying is a woman thing and that makes you weak because he doesn't have emotions. So he hates having to fake crying. It's the hardest one. That's people who castigate other people for crying by and large. I think it's because they're faking most of their empathy and they feel like people who can cry because they really do feel things bring the lie to the fact that they're pretending to give a shit. And that makes it harder. It makes his work harder, right? If they show real empathy, it's hard for him to fake empathy, right? Okay. And Marjorie Trader Brown, remember green turns brown under stress. Yes, yeah. And again, stress. So maybe she's stressed out by the fact that you're a lying piece of shit and Epstein's wingman and you got us into a war you said you wouldn't. And like, I don't even know why that, literally by putting that, it makes it less of an insult. When you make it stress, I guess age would be the easier part, but maybe he can't make that because his brain is turning to tapioca and he hates his own aging right now. That's why he stands up there going, I hate being on stage with handsome men because I never was one, right? They're all misfits and losers, But Massey, who is running against a great American patriot in the Kentucky primary, will hopefully lose big. I love Kentucky, President DJT. No, he doesn't. Didn't spend any time there at all. I got to tell you, like the better part of this though. Hold on, my transition buttons are very slow these days. Wake up. There we go. All right, that's good. It just takes its own sweet time. I'm not quite sure why. It is Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. That's the bellwether, ladies and gentlemen, because there is a real turn happening in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. Because they're like everything else. This guy, I guess, Clay Fuller, is the here it is. Clay Fuller is the guy that Trump is backing to replace her, but is fail like it's been contentious. They're eating their own in this situation, and it's exactly what I've warned about on our side. This is what happens when Trump wants to spend money, turning a red district redder. DNC, one fucking job. Red district's purple. Purple district's blue. You get 0 points. 0 points for turning a blue district bluer. It's meaningless. Meaningless. It is a waste of money and time. The threat we're up against is not this kind of like, is there really a difference between centrist? Get out of here. We're talking an entire party, except for the people that are quitting, of Republicans. He has boiled it down to its maggot essence. The only Republicans that are running and can run are 100% on the Trump train. That's it. This is not a coin flip. This is not a lesser of two evils. The drop off between these two evils, one is gonna get you what you want, but it's gonna take work, and they know it. That's the evil that you see, versus Epstein's wingman starting a war of choice in Iran to benefit his fucking Saudi and UAE backers, and to some degree Russia, I suppose. And his buddy Xi Jinping, and maggots that will line up behind him to sign off on it, no matter what the reasoning or lack thereof is. These are your choices. A party that will work towards a universal healthcare system by building it over time because that's what it requires, or one that is looking to scuttle every social safety net we have. That is their stated goal. That's what they call the lesser of two evils. A true, complex, balanced approach to actually getting shit done and making it stick so that the people recognize its value and it's hard to undo. Look at how Josh Hawley was talking about SNAP when the government was shut down. Do you understand that it was Democrats that put that together, and they did such a good fucking job putting it together that even Republicans in those states had to admit that they're screwed without it? That's the kind of work it takes. And unless you're beating your chest about all the things, I mean, right now we have, and we've had them for a while. We have fewer right now that are taken seriously, thank God, than the Republicans have. But we have that kind of Monty Python meeting of the People's Front of Judea, right? Where they're like, what have the Romans ever given us? But they're saying it about the Democrats. You're like, well, SNAP, Social Security, the highway program, gas standards, limitations on CIA spying ability, peace. Oh, peace. Shut up. Right? Okay. So, and this is what it gets you. By the way, I would like to remind everyone that that it can happen to anybody, and this is what happens when this is a great example of the Republicans doing exactly what I warned against on our side, and look at the result. Georgia Democrat leads in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. I want you to just absorb that headline. March 10th, 2026, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to absorb splitters. Right. I want you to absorb that headline. And I want you to look back to a time not so long ago where the Republican Party was like, we won, we've got a mandate, everybody loves us. Trump is the most powerful man in the history of being powerful. We're going to get everything we want and quickly. And it's going to work all at once. And it's smart and amazing. And also, as so dumb I can understand it. It's all things to all people. We're going to get everything. No downside. Utopia is at hand. Donald Trump is God's messenger. Right? Remember that? Remember that talk? Some of them are still doing it. Trump's still doing it. But it's pretty rare these days. It really only happens at cabinet meetings where he's fallen asleep because it's the only way he can get some restful sleep. I honestly think that people are criticizing Trump for sleeping in his cabinet meetings, and that it's just a big circle jerk of praise. Honestly, I think that's their way of giving him a lullaby so that he gets some sleep. Right? He's like, they're worried he's not sleeping at all. Maybe we get around him, we just like sing hymns of praise at him. He'll doze off a little, get some rest. Look at him. And then maybe they all planned, as soon as he falls asleep, to like get up from the table and sneak out like a fucking baby who's finally down for his nap. In one of the most conservative congressional districts in the U.S., a special election in Georgia to replace former Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has produced an unusual runoff. A Democrat got through the primary gauntlet to face a Republican endorsed by President Donald Trump. And in surprise, the Democrat was ahead. The Democrat, Sean Harris, a retired Army general and cattle farmer, and Clay Fuller, a Trump-backed district attorney, advanced Tuesday after neither candidate won a majority of votes in a 17-candidate field. The two will face off in April 7th runoff to fill the remainder of Greene's term through the end of the year, which will allow them to run as an incumbent, but will also allow whoever doesn't to try and run another campaign. They'll continue to campaign to take over the seat from that point forward. They'll never stop running in that regard. Harris led Fuller 37 to 35% with more than 95% of the vote counted, according to the elections analysis website Decision.shq. Though if you add up totals from all 17 candidates on the ballot, the Republicans had more total votes than the Democrats accumulated. That's true, but if the rest of a bunch of those stand down and all the Democrats stand up, there's still a chance. The district is a test of whether Democrats can capitalize on fractured Republican primaries, even in strongly conservative districts. Turn it purple, people. Turn it purple. And if the Democrat loses in that situation, hang all of Trump's choices, all the mistakes, everything around Fuller's neck the rest of his term. That's how it works. That's what they do to Democrats. They even attack people who haven't run yet. This is how they built steam against Hillary in the fucking 90s when she was just the first lady because she dared push for, S-chip. That was her initial crime. How dare she? She's just the woman of the house. She's not supposed to do politics, right? That put a target on her for the Republicans, especially the patriarchal conservatives like Newt Gingrich. Yeah, Trump has to be a political albatross for all these people going forward. And combine that with Trump shitting on his own. And we've got a real good tailwind behind us heading into the midterms. Now, I want to show you one other thing from yesterday. Where is it? It's this thing. I don't normally do videos during the morning show or whatever. And Phil will be joining us at the top of the next hour. Hold on, that reminds me. Okay, it's open. We're good. All right. This is good. I just got to make sure I'm ready for him when he comes in. That there is, why would you go all the way up there, you strange person? That one of the ways that they are saving face with their followers that are against the Iran war is because it's real easy to bait maggots into getting excited about weaponry. It worked with Iraq. It worked with Afghanistan. That's what shock and awe was really all about, was just a demonstration of might, you know? And weaponry has come a long way since then. And the Bendovers of the world could not be more excited about it. This is something insane was just dropped on Iran. Obviously, what he's probably referencing is what he thinks is the laser weapons that Trump was talking about, which aren't dropped at all. But we'll see. Oh, and then this is super fucking weird. Just like...
What's up?
Can you get more Christian?
Guys, did war just change forever? Iran was just hit with some type of weapon that...
Some kind of... I'm going with Jewish space laser, since we're on the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing.
Turned the entire sky blue, and then a ball of yellow shot up directly from the ground, a fire...
The piss laser
that went effectively into space. Was Iran just hit with a laser weapon from...
Do we have Jewish space lasers now? Can we officially... Do we all owe Marjorie Taylor Greene an apology?
Space? This happening at the exact same time that President Trump just teased the power of our...
Oh, he didn't tease it. He talked about it in public, which he's not supposed to do, I guess. Yeah, he mentioned, because he's fucking stupid, covert stuff that had been mentioned to him, and they're obviously clearly didn't grow up seeing the day after it. Yeah, seriously, CSL.
Laser weapons, this happening seconds before Iran was struck. Listen to this.
And the laser technology that we have now is incredible. It's coming out pretty soon.
It's coming out pretty soon. Coming down pretty soon, I guess.
We're literally lasers will do the work of, at a lot less cost, do the work of what the Patriots are doing or what...
Okay, by the way, what he's referring to is cutting lasers at such a high capacity that instead of launching something at a... It's anti-drone technology and anti-missile... it's missile defense technology. So you just kind of like blast it with a heat laser. And if you haven't... It's just hard to get that intensity over enough time, but eventually we'll get there. It's what the movie Real Genius was about, except it was an assassination ray. But effectively... You just basically bore a hole in the projectile, whatever it is, a drone or whatever. They've been working on this shit for a long time. Benny thinks there's like a giant satellite with a I guess a Star of David on it for Candace Owens' sake that will shoot a big Abrahamic laser lightning bolt from the sky, and that's what we're shooting. He thinks that's what he's teasing right here instead of missile defense. It's so stupid.
Other things are doing. The situation was very quickly approaching the point of no return, and the United States found it intolerable, in my opinion, based on...
Again, we covered when he talked about this.
What?
So President Trump here saying that the lasers, the exact quote is, the laser technology we have is incredible. It's coming out pretty soon. Lasers are going to do the same work as our missile systems.
No, they didn't, you fucking tit. It means the Patriot, the anti-missile. Look how he jumps to that. Holy shit. Like, this is how they operate. This is how we see this all the fucking time. Can you guys please keep an eye out for when people jump the fucking shark like this? Or maybe, you know what? It's unfair. Maybe Benny is as stupid as we all think he is, and he doesn't know what the Patriot missiles are for.
Ballistic missile systems.
No. Okay. Yeah, he is that stupid. Yeah.
Well, that actually sounds like what we've seen in...
Actually, it doesn't. It's a defensive weapon against incoming stuff. The Israelis have been working on it. We've been working on it.
Iran, where the Iron Beam and then the Helios laser system that was mounted on the destroyer that took out the Iranian drone.
Right. That's a anti-aircraft, anti-drone, anti-ballistic missile. Fuck me.
And then the laser satellites that are in SpaceX satellites. We've seen all those systems operate.
No, you haven't.
In Iran.
No, you have not. You have not seen laser SpaceX satellites, you idiot. You have not.
And so it could.
We've seen sharks with frickin' laser beams on their heads.
Just be what President Trump is teasing. Again, this comes on the heels of Donald Trump saying.
He's not teasing. He's leaking, just like his fucking diaper.
That we have weapons that are so powerful, we don't even understand them.
That's because he doesn't understand how a gun works. The man has never fired a firearm. He can't. He doesn't know which end the bullet comes out of. They could never even hand him a dummy gun because he would go like this, because he's an idiot. He doesn't. Have you this ass? Jesus Christ! Have you heard this asshole talk about like how our missiles are bing, 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 poo, bang, pow? Like he doesn't understand radar tracking. Of course, he thinks everything else is just fucking incredible.
Powerful. Let me tell you, it's far more powerful than people understand.
Than he understands. Let's be clear. He thinks he's the smartest person. So if he's confused by it, then everybody else must be completely in the fucking dark because he thinks he's a genius. This is a man who regards himself as a stable genius. None of what he's talking about is difficult to understand, especially if you're a fan of sci-fi and you're like, okay, there are predictable tracks and there are bullshit tracks. Right?
We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most
alien weaponry.
Powerful weapons in the world that we have.
Again, what do you mean? Nuclear weapons that are beyond what dropped at Hiroshima, and since nobody's seen them go off, but he's seen simulations.
More powerful than anybody, not even close.
President Trump previewing this. Check this out. President Trump saying, we have weapons that nobody even knows what it is. Okay, well, what exactly is...
How do the people operate it then? What do we do? I don't know. Have you thought about kicking it? Look, sir, thank you for coming down here. We built this. We don't quite know how it works. We do know that it does work. But anyways, you masturbate into this end of it. And then these guys over here do jumping jacks. And someone, for some odd reason, has to pour a cold beer on top of it while singing, I'm Proud to Be an American by Lee Greenwood. And the Trump laser just turns the sky an aquamarine color. We don't know why. AI built it. We just let it have it. And we set up a bunch of 3D printers and it just started doing it. And then we came in here and the fucking thing was sitting there and it printed out instructions. And then as soon as we read the instructions, they evaporated. So we have to go. We're going on memory, sir. This is old school Pharaoh kind of shit. We really don't know. It's we found the Ark of the Covenant in an old box. And we're trying to figure out a way to point the top of it at our enemies and open it and get them to say it's beautiful.
This.
That would be a reflection of an electrical, either an EMP pulse or an explosion at an electrical plant first that caused the charge to light up the sky.
Say what now? What kind of...
That the thing on the ground was expressing upward. So it's blue light coming from the thing, which could be the destruction of an electrical facility on a very dark night, while everything else, you don't have all the light pollution because all the fucking power is out everywhere else. The city's out because they're rationing it. So one last one lights up the sky because there's low cloud cover.
Weapon is that?
It's not. It's something happening from the ground up. And then that cascades into an explosion.
Linked with these other... Look at that. What the hell is that? Literally.
An explosion? A big explosion coming from the ground? Sorry, do you that if you think that's a weapon specifically that's special or whatever, it looks closer to a giant missile launch from the ground in Tehran than something hitting it.
What?
I get wow. Yeah, the green is copper burning. Yeah, yeah. This is part of this though, and I mean this is the important part. Is a lot of this has to do with them trying to sell this war to maggots by just like, hey, forget everything about whether this is a good idea or a bad idea, and just get excited about the boom boom. That's everywhere I look. The turd polishers are all just going, look, I don't know how I feel about this, but wow, look how, oh shit, this is incredible. Look at that. And we probably have super weapons. America is the greatest country, and I'm proud to be an American, right? That's what they want. Every single one of the turd polishers is talking about the tactical capabilities of the United States and the amazing level of weaponry, which is, by the way, no fucking surprise to anybody that we have the biggest military. It's been one of the contentious points. Budget hawks on the Republican side have been bitching about the fact that they can't cut the military budget because they'll lose voters, but it's one of the most bloated budgets we have, and if you're trying to cut the national debt, that's one of the few ways you can do it. And now they can't because look at all the boom boom. Boom, 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 boom. So, I'm going to open this up, and it's going to annoy people as well. Meanwhile, can I show you something from Chicago real quick? So I'm trying to ping pong between the intelligent, the absolute lack of intelligence that we're experiencing in our leadership and the kind of advances that are going on in science and technology on the other side that could put all this fucking warring and fighting over bullshit to rest forever, if not the foreseeable future. Yeah, what's another trillion in debt? Who cares? Yeah, if you look at it's like a fucking fireworks show. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, Disneyland's customer base grew immensely when they decided to do the fireworks every night. Meanwhile, our dear friends over at Northwestern, the school I had kind of wanted to go to when I was in Chicago, just because the girls were so pretty, and smart people school. Evolved robots are learning to run. These are robots that they made. They are blind. They have no sensory apparatus, but they can tell when they are. This is fucking creepy. They only rotate on this one axis. It's just a one engine like that. They go that way. And you can attach as many of them as you want together. They have sensors in them that let them know that they've lost the ability to move if they lose one. So here's one module. They add 3 modules. They'll add a 4th module. It's like watching 5 modules. There you go. And it learns to walk based on these things. The quadruped works the best, and they're trying to figure out why nature prefers 4 feet. It will correct itself. You can throw it on the ground. It will move and topple itself. Start itself over. Yeah. Mix this with what I told you about the neurons earlier. Eek. So they train it inside there, and if they knock off one of the legs, it recognizes it's lost a leg and it will adapt. It's straight out of the fucking Terminator, just crawling through, chasing Sarah Connor. Yeah, it's you on the dance floor. Yeah. Yeah, it's very similar to the one in Interstellar. There's a guy who actually made one of those. I don't know if you've ever seen his channel, Personal Interstellar robot. This guy does like little short films with the thing. He made TARS himself. Yeah, this dude. Bring this in. This guy made his own TARS, GPT TARS robot, and it does like walk and do all the stuff. And he does all these short films where you never see his face, which is kind of cool. For those of you that didn't see Interstellar, you should, in case you ever hear. That's the robot in Interstellar. It has this weird way of like walking and being kind of a wall or furniture or barrier. It unfolds its arms, and has different layers for what's necessary. It's very R2 in that regard, but it's blocky, I guess, for fitting a bunch of them in a shipping container efficiently, something along those lines. It's a very sweet part of the storyline if you haven't seen Interstellar. But there are a bunch of people trying to make those and R2s and the like. Yeah, where's the next studio? TARS and case. There you go. Oh, and then, yeah. I know I will just get, honestly, I'm going to get it in getting back to this kind of part of it or whatever. But I think they show it running super fucking, yeah. Here you go. This is TARS running with his double legs really, really fucking fast. And then it just kind of leaps and sticks, and it gets picked up, like that. I gotta say, I like it for its almost Doctor Who like flavor. That kind of robot. It also does limit what it can do and where it can go. One of the things that we'll do to fix certain robots is make sure that they are too big. Now, the militaristic folks, and we're still waiting to see if Phil's going to make it today. I have every reason to believe he will, but dude's in a war zone, so make sure that I think he's got everything. It's the HSRPM link. I'll send it to you again, Andrea, just in case he doesn't have it. I'm fairly certain this is the one you sent, but always good to check. And where is it? Yeah. Hold on. Defensive cockroaches. Let me show you this one. There's a defense contractor making AI cockroach swarms. Oh, this is why I thought it was a German company. It's a German company that is, they're different than these kind of cockroaches. There you go. There's a cockroach that they are attaching sensors and a control matrix to. Basically, it like electrocutes them and tells them go left, go right, whatever, because you can control them that way. They'll move based on stimuli. And so this company is making AI cockroach swarms, and they attach these things. They're using the big hissing cockroaches, those. See, they've been, people have been working on this for a long time, yada, yada, yada. And I will show you it's not that strange, but they're using, there's one. Trying to find see if it goes here. When they're demoing them, but the kind they're using are the big hissing cockroaches, the big flat gnarly ones, because they can carry, I guess, up to 3 grams of weight. Those guys, so they can saddle them with stuff like little mules, little war mules, and they taught them to go where they're supposed to, and they can coordinate these things because AI will tell them where to go and what to look for. They can have sensors on them. LiDAR cameras, sound, all this kind of shit. And defense? Okay. So maybe that's what Trump meant. Maybe that's what Trump meant. When you got, I don't even understand cockroaches. Like, why? I don't even believe in God. Why would God create something like a cockroach? Um, and then I'm going to show you this, which relates to Phil being with us in a moment. This is on the front line in Ukraine. This robot has held its position for 45 days. They either have a resupply system that they're not showing us how they do it, and a reload system, but it's the Droid TW, and these guys either roll up to it, meet it, fill it back up, recharge its batteries, and send it back out, and it just goes and goes and goes, and its whole thing is patrol this like a yard. And pardon me. And it has a area it's responsible for, and it is now rolling around guarding these things. 45 days. Now they've been in use for months in Ukraine and other places because they are outnumbered by the meat waves that the Russians are sending. But so they're making up for it with drones and what this would effectively be ground drones. And this is the future of warfare playing out. And a lot of this, by the way, is stuff that the U.S. military is making with the Ukrainians. It's stuff the Ukrainians themselves have created, and we've, added funding to on the down low and stuff. It's one of the reasons, probably the biggest reason, why Trump and his flunkies have not been able to shut this down. Because if you want to talk about a powerful lobby inside the United States, it's the Defense Department, not just the defense contractors, but the Defense Department, because they want the money for all the toys. They want to be able, this whole maximum lethality thing isn't new to Pete Hegseth, and it's strategically the entire point, depending on the villainy of the person you're allegedly up against. So who can do it faster, cheaper, and dirtier? Even you even need this. You have to have this technology just so you can understand how it works, because it's produced so cheaply by everybody else. This might just be what your regular order troops are up against. So they load this guy up, and he drives it out there. But if it can take a bullet, it can get shot at, it can survive in a way that a soldier cannot. And it has held its position. This is, by the way, they're not shooting in an area. This is at a range. This is not where it's actually deployed. But there are many of these. They keep saying 60% of the deaths of Russians in the Ukraine war over the last year have been from drones. They were saying drones for a long time. And granted, these count as drones, kind of, but they're now calling them autonomous or semi-autonomous munitions, meaning that sometimes it's driven by remote control, sometimes it's AI, and pre-targeted, which is basically like a wind-up toy that has only one source point, and they're sending these things out as sensors, and they choose targets that way, and then they follow it up with one of the guns, and they have cameras on them so they see who they're hitting. It's in their own country, so that it's not like they're sending it into downtown Moscow. Although a bunch of them, I'm sure, wish they could. That one's a tank. That's a anti-tank mine layer. We're about to see this guy get hit. Yeah, I don't need to see that. Anyway, I don't need to show anybody dying on my channel. But this is a huge part of this. Going forward, and I think Trump doesn't understand any of that stuff either. Seriously, watch Jake Bro on YouTube. Plenty of drone updates. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Jake's pretty good. Hello, defenders. Whatever, like his weird little voice seemingly a nice guy, talking about this. He's been at it for a while. I'd love to have him on the show, Andrea, if we can get Jake on. I know he's been on Phil's show as well. But this is, part of this is how Trump is responding to this, and and part of it, you can't tell whether he's just amazed by stuff that's actually fairly normal these days, or if his response is to something genuinely extraordinary. Yep. Okay, couple of things. We'll cover the Ted Cruz Tucker fight later on today in our on a new. We should have a new category or a new segment called Dweeb on Dweeb Violence. Gotcha. Thank you, Andrea. Well, we'll keep trying, apparently, by the way, Pete Hegseth has thrown a tantrum because he does not he finds some of the pictures that they show of him unflattering. So he apparently got pissed. Pentagon has reportedly banned some photographers from briefings on Donald Trump's war in Iran after Pete Hegseth's staff found photographs of him unflattering. He doesn't like his neck waddle when he looks down that is natural to the human form. He didn't like that. It makes his face look fat, and that helps the enemy. Yeah. The decision first reported by the Washington Post report took place after a March 2nd briefing. When he announced this, several outlets included, because like pictures like this, he doesn't like those. The ones that make him look like a young Rumsfeld, that's exactly what he's bitching about. So I'm glad we're handling serious things. Meanwhile, the real reason behind this war, besides the fact that the Saudis and the UAE insist on it if Donald Trump wants his golf money, is Pam Bondi sucks at hiding the Epstein files. And, one day, and this is the hopeful Hal. This is, and hopefully we'll hear from Phil soon, but we're good. God knows I have enough news to cover this morning anyways, but one day, perhaps, dream with me, if you will. Chat room, come with me down a more hopeful road with a rainbow at the end. Maybe one day we'll find out that all of Pam Bondi's ham-handed fuck-ups and loud defensive blatherings were all just an incredibly complex ruse to get all of the files released and to gin up support for doing it over time by just throwing herself in front of the bus. That it's the world's largest act of, most glorious act of self-sacrifice from someone. I will make myself look like a belligerent, pedophile-protecting asshole just so that we can, get all this stuff out. It's the only way. It's like the end of Endgame where, Dr. Strange looks at Pam Bondi and goes, if I told you how it happens, it won't happen, right? And she's just like, okay. So that's me trying to look at the bright side because I'm happy clappy, you know that. Bondi's Epstein file nightmare gets worse with new investigation demand. Bipartisan group of senators is demanding a fresh probe into embattled Attorney General Pam Bondi's handling of the Epstein files. Jeff Merkley, Ben Ray Lujan of New Mexico, Dick Durbin of Illinois, and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska have set to ask the Government Accountability Office on Wednesday to investigate the Justice Department's controversial efforts, or lack thereof. While the Justice Department has released millions of documents so far, pages. Okay, if I have all right, let me explain something to you. Okay, this is a printed out article. But for the sake of argument, people in the news media, come here, listen up. This is a document, okay? It is complete. It's the entire printed thing, okay? If I were to release this document, it would require all 3 pages would be included. That would be the document, and you would have access to all 3 documents. Now, if I release one page of it, technically speaking, this is a document on its own. But it's not the document, is it? It's a page of perhaps millions of pages out of what might be tens of millions of document pages. Does that make any fucking sense? Assholes. Stop it. Half of the shit has not been released. Knock it off. Everybody who says they said 6 million documents, we got 3 million pages, and with the images and videos, so that must be half of the documents. It's not anywhere fucking close. If you have a still image or one picture, how do you know that is just simply the least incriminating photo they could find of 100 of negatives that were available? Much less the terabytes of data on hard drives. Okay. Does that seem to fly with everybody? Can we stop in the media? You have no idea how many documents there actually are materially. So you cannot say that you've seen half of anything because you don't know what the total number is. 50 is half of 100 if that's how many you think. But if you find out later that it was actually 40,000, you look like a right asshole for saying half, don't you? Okay. I'm fine. I'm all right. Just saying. In an open letter shared Wednesday morning, as reported by CNBC, the lawmakers also criticized Bondi's department for failing to redact victims' names in some of the instances. Let's show this. Epstein files. We're going to continue. I know this, whatever. Stop trying to ask for everything. I got to tell you. Also, online papers, CNBC, NBC, Fox News, the number of ads and extras on your fucking page is gross. It makes it intolerable. Maybe this is their way of trying to get you to buy the paper version because it's less cumbersome holding a newspaper and going between the pages and going, that's an ad, rather than having to watch fucking pop-ups thrown up in the middle of your reading all the time like you're being hypnotized. It's fucking aggravating. So there you go. There's Pam Bondi. By the way, not doing poorly at her job, doing exactly the job she was hired to do. Do they have the letter here? You should. Where are you? Let's say bipartisan accountability officer. The letter signed by this. Contrary. Where's the text of the letter? They're not. Okay. The letter asks. Okay. The letter asks Comptroller General Oris Williams Brown to review the protocols and practices the DOJ used for review, redaction, and release of the Epstein files and to report back to Congress because they're supposed to do that, but they're not doing it, so you do it. It specifically asked the GAO to investigate whether the release of the files has served to cover up child sexual abuse. Wow, that lands. You're the comptroller, and that lands on your fucking desk. This horrific scandal is one where, powerful, wealthy men groomed, abused, and raped young women, men, and children. And the senators wrote, it is critical to understand what led to the DOJ's failure to redact the victim's information and re-victimize those individuals while violating the Epstein Files Transparency Act in its redactions of information related to their alleged abusers. So, for that, stack that with not only are Democrats doing shit, but there are Republicans joining them because this is one of those areas that is relatively nonpartisan, and we will it will grow and metastasize no matter what the fuck Trump does. As soon as this Iran debacle moves into its next phase, or shuts down, or he says he declares victory and fucks off, it doesn't matter. It will go right back to being the number one issue. And it might be the only thing that brings the Iran war to a close on any kind of timescale is the failure to knock this off the headlines, out of the headlines. Yeah. Meanwhile, hold on, let me jump this up here. In an attempt to add the veneer of seriousness Get out of here. Open up, you silly thing. There you go. I want you to keep in mind before I show you this next story that everything the Trump administration does is performative, even when it has real world reactions from other people or real world consequences that occur. Regardless, they are operating on this as like what will drive the news cycle away from where we don't want to talk about and towards something we do want to talk about, and will help corral our followers into lining up to suck as they are supposed to do. This is one of those things. Doomsday plane seen for a second time in 2 months. There are protocols that are in place whenever something gets screwed up, and the closing of the Strait of Hormuz and the cascading effect might be in the prescribed set of operations that every president is presented with when this shit happens. So the flying of the Doomsday plane, it might be just in case. But it is pretty overt that it makes its way into the news. President Trump's massive Doomsday plane has been spotted for the second time in 2 months. The Boeing E-6B Mercury has been flying low over Fresno, California, where it carried out mock landings for 2 hours, according to the New York Post. The 4-engine plane, officially called the National Airborne Operations Center, can stay in the air for half a day, be refueled en route, and effectively act as a flying Pentagon. The $141 million command post in the sky's primary mission would come in the event of a nuclear attack, offering an alternative command center if those on the ground are destroyed. It is able to control submarines, bombers, and missiles, with retired Air Force Major General Clay Garrison telling Fox 26 they can control the bombers. If the bombers are on alert, they can control the missiles, because the missiles are always on alert, and obviously they can control our ballistic missile submarines. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was forced to cool fears at the start of the year after the plane was seen at Los Angeles International Airport, which again, I think was performative as well. The new sighting comes as anxiety at home and abroad reaches new heights amid the new war with Iran. That's from the New York Post. I would argue that that is meant to give this veneer of seriousness to the Iran war to make it look like, look, they were this close to a nuke. And if they aren't, then they've got buddies that are. And we got to be ready because this is super serious, okay? Like, that's what this does. Those kind of news stories allow them to convince those that are weak-kneed among them that this is justified, that is a reasonable response. Meanwhile, here it goes. Remarks. This is Rogan says that Trump supporters feel betrayed by the insane war with Iran. And I guess the ultimate response from everybody else is tough shit, dude. This is what you supported. You carried his balls across the finish line in your own gullet. So, I apologize. Because I got to tell you, all of this was so goddamn predictable. There was no mystery to any of this. Yes, it's not, Karen, it's not all for show, again, because it has real world consequences. But pay attention to what seemingly would be covert, secret, super duper secret, that is suddenly front page news, and understand that the administration will often put it will often sort of open the door to leaks or open the door to letting certain information out through sources if they think it will drive public opinion in a positive way. So, and let's see. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, they're going to have a vote on the SAVE Act. Thune is not going to break the filibuster rule to do it. And here is, let me show you this. This is the CENTCOM leader, and this is the most current update. So here's the real shit on the ground while we're here together. This is the real world consequences part of this that I've been talking about. So here you go.
I'm Admiral Brad Cooper here at United States Central Command, where I'm leading the forces executing Operation Epic Fury. First, I want you to know that we continue to keep the families of our fallen heroes and our wounded teammates in our thoughts and prayers.
Can we get him a jacket that fits? Because the patches are pulling down the sleeves.
I'd also like to acknowledge and thank the families of the 50,000 American servicemen and women deployed in and around the Middle East. I'm grateful for your selfless sacrifice, and I know that Americans across the country hold you in their hearts. Let me start by offering my overall assessment of operations.
By the way, what just happened there serves two purposes. One, it can talk about the people that are at our forward bases and the like, but plants pictures in your head that they're basically just we're not sending troops there. They're 50,000 people, but they're not troops. These are people repairing airplanes and drones and that kind of stuff. They're not troops. These are people in the motor pool. The people that are serving there, we do not have troops in. Troops are not happening. And because if I say the 50,000 troops serving in our forward bases, a lot of maggots will immediately go, oh shit, we're sending in troops. And so they're putting those pictures up just to guarantee that that thought gets knocked out of your mind. This obviously doesn't work if you're playing the audio of this on Joey Pag's radio show or some shit like that. I'm sure it's panicking a bunch of callers, but that's why they did it in this context. So you know, this is, again, it's performative.
Epic Fury. In short, U.S. forces continue delivering devastating combat power
Delivering
against the Iranian regime. I've said this before, but
highway to the danger zone.
Bears repeating. U.S. combat power is building, Iranian combat power is declining. And we remain centered on very clear military objectives and
They underline centered in the teleprompter.
eliminating Iran's ability to project power against Americans and against
Because Muslims hate dogs, so put a picture of a dog there just to annoy them. I'm not kidding, that's part of this.
its neighbors. Every day, we're striking hard.
I think Gavin Newsom would come on the show. I think he certainly should. If he'll go on a maggot show, he should come here. Although, again, I use too spicy, my language is too spicy for a lot of these folks, so fuck.
At Iranian ballistic missile and drones. To date, we have struck more than 5,500 targets inside Iran, including more than 60 ships, using a variety of precision weapon systems. Just yesterday, we had strike waves nearly every hour from different locations.
Yeah, this is the whole, like, we're going to hit them harder than you've ever fucking seen. By the way, enjoy your war porn.
And directions going into Iran.
Sorry, I can't.
We also took out the last of 4 Soleimani-class warships. That's an entire class of Iranian.
Sorry, those look like yachts disguised as military purchases for the Ayatollah's buddies.
Ships now out of the fight.
Those, by the way, those are the ships that they drop the mines from, and then they've got these other ones that, again, actually do look, they're painted like yachts. They're the same fucking thing.
I'd characterize our strikes as being unpredictable, dynamic, and decisive.
I see. So Trump is picking them. I gotcha. They're completely unpredictable. Some of them aren't even in Iran.
Since the first 24 hours of this campaign, Iranian ballistic missile and drone attacks have dropped drastically. But it's worth pointing out that Iranian forces continue to deliberately target innocent civilians in Gulf countries while hiding behind their own people as they launch attacks from highly populated cities in Iran. Of course,
well, and, again, also in defense of the Ayatollahs and the IRGC's forces, obviously they don't consider everybody in their country their forces. I'll give you an example. Donald Trump would kindly, would happily use use Democrats or activists he doesn't like as sort of a frontline cannon fodder to take a bullet for his, he wouldn't care. They serve the purpose and they get run over or something with a car or shot or whatever. You know, it's just, you're going to have a death in situations like this. I don't know. Right? So I got to say, like, why would the Iranians be any different? I mean, the one thing I think to my dear friends in Iran, the lovely Persian people who are trying to rise up and undo a few hundred years of fuckery, I'd like to say that we do have one thing in common. We're both currently run by arrogant assholes who make life and death decisions from the warm side of a bay window.
forces executing Operation Epic Fury aren't just defending against Iranian threats. We are methodically dismantling them by hitting Iranian missiles and drones, as we also strike their defense industrial base.
Sorry, it's about a $50,000 drone, and you just hit it with a $500,000 missile. I'm just saying, it looks impressive if you like boom boom, but it's also like, Jesus Christ, is this? I guess better to hit it on the ground.
Just last night, our bomber force hit a large ballistic missile manufacturing facility, as an example. So it's
Sorry, was this particular bomber possessed by Satan?
not just about what's shooting at us today, it's also about eliminating the threat in the future.
That's right. Regime change. We don't call it that, but we understand.
Now, let me show you a few of the results from the tremendous efforts by America's joint force. Here, you see an Iranian Jamaran-class warship, a large patrol ship, a drone smuggling vessel.
Which all look the same, and I take your word for it, I guess. Let me guess. In a couple seconds, they're gone. They were parked, so we can hit a parked car. Great.
And 4 other surface combatants.
Where did we ever get the technology to hit a parked car?
Docked at Chabahar port in the Gulf of Oman the day before we launched Operation Epic Fury. Here's the same pier 4 days later, all ships taken out of action. This Bayandar-class surface ship was hit and rolled on its side.
Really? It looks like you photoshopped it in there. Because Trump was like, you can't even see where it was before. Nobody's going to believe this. It just looks like a beach now. Can you Photoshop an oddly large ship on its side, curiously almost overlap, and make it look so wrong that it has to be right. Also, for the record, I'm not particularly surprised we can hit static targets that have been there the whole time, out in the open.
Here's another example.
It's not that, honest to God, I would move through these fairly fast, because as jurors, we're sitting here going, yeah, we know you can. We're at the should part.
Here you see 2 Iranian surface combatants docked at an Iranian naval base near the
And they're mating and creating little Iranian destroyers.
Strait of Hormuz.
I don't know if you know, it's like earthworms. They mate back to back. Never mind.
Just hours into the campaign. And here's what they look like 3 days later, engulfed in flames after we struck them with a precision weapon.
Or photoshopped to look that way. I mean, I'm fairly certain these are real, but how the fuck do we know?
For years, the Iranian regime has threatened commercial shipping and U.S. forces in international waters. Our mission is to end their
And that's our job, right, Venezuela?
ability to project power and harass shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. From the air, we've achieved a concentration
Sorry.
of air power with back-to-back waves of advanced fighters creating constant pressure on the enemy every single day. Our dominance is not a solo effort.
I can't even see the other 2 planes. There were 3 planes there. Did you spot them? Not those guys.
Constant pressure on the enemy every single day.
I mean, it's dark. You can't barely see that one, but you know it's there because of the fire.
Our dominance is
Where are the others? That's amazing. If you look up, do they have clouds and blue sky painted on their underside?
not a solo effort. It's a testament to the strength of our ironclad alliances. We continue to coordinate closely and effectively with Israel in this very large operation.
Yeah, we know. It's creating little chafing points between you and the maggot infrastructure.
And we are also coordinating and serving side by side with all of our partners in the Middle East. We're on a path to eliminating Iran's ability to threaten Americans and our friends, and we are achieving this through a combination of lethality, precision, and rapid innovation.
Rapid innovation. Sorry, we're making up new weapons as we go. This is an act of, you know what? This isn't a war. It's an act of innovation. Fucking hell.
Let me highlight a few examples, at least the ones that
Let me guess. It involves shit blowing up.
aren't classified, of how
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, obviously. Wait a minute. Is that a map behind you? Put that down. People might know where we're attacking.
we are achieving lethal effects in entirely new ways.
Yeah. Are you bored with a good old-fashioned death? We've got new fun ways to kill people, and they're really interesting. I think you're really gonna... Where are you ladies going? I hate this bar.
First, our warfighters are leveraging a variety of advanced AI tools.
Great. That makes everybody feel a lot better.
These systems help us sift through vast amounts of data in seconds so our leaders can cut through
So
the
we don't have to decide, should we kill that person or not?
noise and make smarter decisions faster than the enemy can react.
That's why it went wrong. Computers and chicks. Ladies are in charge of this. I knew it. DEI has struck again.
Humans will always make final decisions on what to shoot and what not to shoot, and when to
Yeah, which humans would those be? Because that kind of matters.
shoot. But
Because both Trump and Hegseth have this kind of like, fuck it, whatever, fill your boots, man. Fire at will.
advanced AI tools can turn processes that used to take hours and sometimes even days into
And all sorts of moral quandaries.
seconds.
Yeah, jump right past that. Remember when we used to worry about killing civilians?
I continue to be impressed with all the branches of the U.S. military. The entire team is performing superbly. Strike operations from our joint force continue, as I said.
Sorry,
I
I really miss Val Kilmer.
assess that we are clearly exercising air superiority over vast swaths of Iran. We have the most integrated air defense umbrella in the Middle East, and our defensive operations from the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine
I mean, I don't really like this whole thing, and I'm against it. I think it's another forever war and regime change and all that kind of stuff. But fuck, that's cool, bro. Look at it, boom. It's like we get a free monster truck rally every day.
Corps and Space Force teams are performing magnificently.
Space Force?
Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, and Space Force teams
Or Space Force. I prefer to call them by their original name, Ass Force.
First new branch of the U.S. Armed Forces in 75 years, Space Force. Not since the Air Force.
And not since the Ass Force.
are performing magnificently. A note about the Space Force. Our space superiority has been a
By the way, you gotta cool your jets, buddy. This is where it gets real creepy, real fucking fast. Between your like reliance on Space Force and the AI part, that is the part where the Armageddon cheerleaders start masturbating and everybody else gets real goddamn nervous.
critical enabler to this fight. Unseen by the world, the Space Force is doing two things. First, they're degrading Iranian capability, and second, they're helping to protect American forces. And I'll have to
Look at this flag. This is so hot. Look at these satellites going ping, bong, boing, bing, bong, bong. Jesus Christ. We're watching like defense contractor sales brochures, like digital website
leave it
stuff.
right there. All told, despite this incredible progress, make no mistake, we remain highly vigilant. And I just could not be prouder of our Operation Epic Fury team, and I know the American people shared that same pride.
And we think that the new beta version is very popular amongst our early adopters of Operation Epic Fury. And we really think when the new update comes out that everybody's going to upload it directly to their phones.
All our warriors out there, please keep up the great work and Godspeed. Thanks so much.
That I don't know. I found it to be equal parts terrifyingly sociopathic and blathering pseudo-propagandistic claptrap. Yeah, it's hard. It's a coin flip for me, you know. I don't think I'll wait till the whole movie comes out on a streaming service. I don't think I'm going to see it in the theater because it sounds kind of dangerous. But that is the current state of affairs insofar as we know, ladies and gentlemen. And hold on, let's go with here. Hold on. And then on top of that, whoop, we had this little thing happen at the White House. Oy, I hate this shit when they a van drove through the security barricade at the White House this morning at the gate of Connecticut Avenue and 8th Street Northwest. No reported injuries. Driver was arrested at the scene by Secret Service. They shut down the streets around the area. It's unclear if the incident is being treated as deliberate or an accident. It's so hard to tell. But they've been stepping up security everywhere. Let's see, do they have a, I don't know if they have an image of it. Yeah, here you go. This is a less important area of the brink. Hold on. Gate area. Boop. It's not nearly as sexy as like the front gate and these kind of things, but they've shut off the roads around the area. Let's see if we can bring this up, and I'll show you guys. Yeah, we get it. Yep. Keep going. Oh, this is it. This is just footage of. Yeah, here you go. So this is the raw footage of where they shut off the streets, around the area. I think jump through here. There you go. Fucked off. This is just B-roll that they've grabbed. I guess this is as close as they're going to be able to get to the area anyways. Wonder what does anybody know what the drone rules are in Washington, D.C.? I'm going to have to look those up. I would imagine they'd be fairly strict, especially around the White House. People are still on their phones. It's sad. All right. So anyways, that happened this morning, and they had to shut down some streets. Whatever. Yeah, Trump is probably, they probably took Trump straight to the bunker, where Walt had to change his diaper again. Yeah, so that, I think that kind of brings us up to date on most of the tomfoolery around all this stuff right now. Now, I would like to point out something that we haven't had a chance to discuss. And I'll bring it up here in just a second. Is both oil and crypto, and Trump basically, here's the back and forth. One of the biggest concerns, I think, is the insider trading and the market manipulation that's been going on in the White House since they got back in. And this war alone could make billionaires out of, or decabillionaires out of already billionaires, especially Nutlick and Besant and that crowd. And one of the ways that people are kind of keeping their ears pricked up about this is that Trump came out against what Hegseth said and was like, well, it's basically over. We're basically done, right? And then he comes out the next day and says, actually, we're going to keep at it. Now, there's an illusion of competency that surrounds Donald Trump everywhere he goes. And there's this belief amongst a lot of people that this is all like him playing 5D chess, even when he's doing something sketchy and corrupt. I disagree. I think the man who, hasn't ever had anything but a trophy wife and couldn't keep him unless they had, a wedge on him, or can't maintain a friendship of any depth or worth, and surrounds himself by yes men and sycophants, and is bankrupt his businesses 6 times, including a casino, which seems like it would fucking print money, that I'm going to lean more on the incompetent reactionary side, and that the successes that he's had have been due to people around him who see their own self-interest in him succeeding. Alan Weisselberg, for example, or Vladimir Putin, for that matter, making sure that he succeeds in spite of himself, not because of himself. It's like they all read Art of the Deal and went, oh, fuck, man, if he does any of this shit, we're done. So they just run interference. And when he says, yeah, do that, they do the opposite, or divert it someplace else, or distract him with something, which I would argue there's plenty of evidence that I am right about this in how the White House behaves, okay? But part of this is that he's all over the place, and the pattern remains unpredictable. And so they sell unpredictability to his followers as part of some greater plan that must be, I mean, you got to think, a big portion of his followers are QAnons. They are, people who, the trust the plan crowd, who say that over and over and over again, when there never was one. And then when there turned out to be one, it looks a lot like PNAC and the plan for Republican tax cuts, and an increase of the wealth gap because the haves and the have-nots is an evolutionary distinction, not a factor of how the FinSec world runs. So Trump has, we'll jump into this. added more sites that he is focusing on. See if I can get this. Where is he? There you go. Shrink down, you silly thing. Boink. Minus, 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 minus. There we go. IEA members agreed to a record release of 400 million barrels of oil. This is because the price is going up so fast, and they need it. So and again, their worry is not that, oh God, the price of oil is going to go up and that will fuck consumers and they'll get all mad and whatever, because there's varying degrees of ramifications to that. In Europe especially, there's so many taxes on fuel and that kind of stuff that it raises it, but they're more apt to move towards green tech than anybody else. And they're afraid that America will follow suit. The oil companies are. And once America, so goes America, as America goes, so goes the rest of the world. So they're concerned that we will electrify our consumer auto market. And because that's the way we've been heading for about 2 decades. And they're worried that this kind of spikes and this kind of unrest and this kind of shit will speed that up again. We'll add another, it'll hit the gas on it, for lack of a better analogy. So one of the reasons why they want to keep oil cheap is not just to grease the wheels for business, to make sure diesel is cheap for shipping and consumer prices don't jack up, but also because people, by and large, are getting tired of gas prices dictating their monthly bottom line. There are already too many things, rent, medicine, doing that, for example, that are musts. And so people can cut back on driving and demand more public trans and all that kind of stuff, which is a bigger impact on states and governors and mayors and shit like that. So there's a reason why I think the oil companies are worried that they're driving away a customer base over time. Timing, pace unclear, but Macron said it would be organized in the coming days. Crude took a brief dip in the wake of the IEA statement before bouncing back because it didn't change the material reality, and it's not going to anytime soon. Trump says the U.S. strike could strike even more targets in Iran if it wanted, which he does, because he said, "I'm going to keep going. I could stop, but if I don't want to keep going, but I feel like keep going." So, again, this is performative, scattered horseshit. This is flood the zone with bullshit meets he really doesn't know how to make a decision about this. 3 ships were hit near the Strait of Hormuz in the Gulf. Drones fell near the Dubai airport. Israeli strikes on Lebanon have injured 1,586 people since March 2nd. Lebanese state-run national news agency says, citing a health ministry report. And Israel Air Forces say they have completed a wave of strikes in Tehran and West Iran 25 minutes ago, which means they're refueling to go back again. One of the things, and this is more of a philosophical question for the chat room and stuff, because as we see this whole war in the MAGA tree, one of the reasons why Obama and Biden, and I would argue Harris would have, fought against opening up a war with Iran, a material war, wasn't because getting rid of the Ayatollah, if you could do it in one fell swoop, would be a good idea, and they were too cowardly to do it or sided with them, as the Republicans float all the time. It's because you're not ripping off a Band-Aid, you're tearing open stitches. And those stitches are barely holding the garment together. And they knew it. And so the question of whether you would do this, the seriousness of it and the immediacy of it would have to be genuine. They are, they have, especially post-Iraq and yellow cake and all that horseshit, they have, they're approaching a nuke, and you must act on it. And anything short of that, if there is any doubt, there is no doubt, does not apply in this situation. So they knew not to go there. Not because the singular goal you could state would be wrong or wouldn't be a good idea in the short or long term, but because of all the other cascading effects that it will have. There is no way to do a limited strike a la Venezuela in Iran. It doesn't work that way. It can't work that way. It is fundamentally spiritually different than the hedonistic nature of the drug and oil trade in Venezuela. It is a mixture of wealthy, hedonistic, bloodthirsty leaders in Iran and their religious overlords, or the intermingle of the two, who can't wait to get to the other side for their 72 virgins, that theory. And that mix is a tinderbox, and everybody who looks at it knows it. Every other leader, it's, hedonistic, focused on their own pleasure. One of the reasons why Putin's never really going to launch a nuclear war is because he's not a spiritual person. He's very Darwinistic in how he looks at things, and it's really just about his own progeny, his own pleasure, his own wealth, his own self. Once he dies, the world ends for him. It doesn't matter. There is no legacy. Is a fucking charming way of watching them erect a statue that you can see. That's why Trump's the same way. It's why he wants his name on the fucking Kennedy Center before he dies, so he can see it, because he's a hedonist. If you believed in the future and what you were doing, you would say, I hope one day they'll name stuff after me because what I did stands the test of time. But Donald Trump doesn't give a fuck about anybody who's not him, and certainly not anybody who's here after he's gone. So he wants his name up on everything right now. That's it. They're the same psychology. Then there are the people who, on a good sense, I would argue the Joe Biden and the Jimmy Carters of the world, who spend their life planting trees under which shade they will never sit. And that they view their worth, that legacy is indicative of not just you, but of your family name and the value you bring to your children, and that they can be viewed as honorable human beings, and your progeny, your children, your life that you leave behind is not just a pile of money they can sit on where everybody fucking hates them and eventually comes for them like it's the French Revolution, but they're like, that's an honorable human being. That, I brought up last year that I happen to think of the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not covet is the most important, and Donald Trump is the most covetous human being we've had in a position of leadership since perhaps Mao. And that's saying a lot. And but the other one is, that most people focus on honor thy father and thy mother is praise them. Like honoring someone is like singing a hymn to them in the same way that they view praising God in church, is, saying, thanks God, you're awesome, as if he's got an ego problem. But honor thy father and thy mother is really not, don't bring shame on your family name in your house, and live a life where people would look at you and go, you know what? They probably had good parents. That ship has sailed. Donald Trump doesn't, and Vladimir Putin are the same way. Like, they don't like their own parents. They don't give a fuck. And they certainly don't give a shit about their own children. Right? Love your enemies, stuff. That's not one of the 10 Commandments, though. That's part of the new covenant. That's the Jesus-y stuff. But in the 10 Commandments, the two most important, I think, are, because they will dictate your behavior more than anything else, is thou shalt not covet and honor thy father and thy mother. Because that'll keep you, walking upright and trying to be a decent person, if you really consider that. So anyways, the theory behind it being that you don't bring shame upon your house, which is, will dictate how you act, I suppose. Unless, again, your dad is Donald Trump and they have no shame. So anyways, so the issue, well, that they in the sale of this, and I got distracted into that whole thing, is that Trump and the hedonists don't understand how to negotiate the standards of somebody who is thinking about life after they pass on. They don't know how to process it. Putin does not understand the Ukrainians' desire to fight for a free Ukraine because he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a fuck about what happens to Russia after he dies, except for in the abstract, they might think of him as the greatest, and that thought gives him pleasure right now. Same with Trump. But he's not seeking any kind of recognition after my die. You guys can plant a tree in my name. No, plant the fucking tree right now. I want the fruit from that tree. I want to eat it. That's how they live, and they can't understand people who are like, who would fight and die. That's why Trump views people who fought in our wars as suckers and losers. That's why he thinks, POWs aren't heroes. Why would you let yourself get captured? Why would you even put yourself in a position where you could get captured, right? So they have no idea how to negotiate these things. And everybody else who's aware of this knows that, at least in part, the Iranian leadership does have this long game attitude, whether it's psychotic, religious, or familial, like almost like they view it through the lens of royalty, doesn't matter. They don't mind dying so that the next phase happens. And that is fundamentally confusing to anybody who is as self-involved as Trump and Putin, and you could argue Xi Jinping. So the situation we find ourselves in is a perfect storm of like ignorance and two different life methodologies facing off. In an honorable way, I would argue, in Russia and Ukraine, where the Ukrainians are fighting for a life for their people beyond their own physical lives, and in a sort of psychotic religious way that, I'm right about this, you're going to go to hell, and even if I kill you, I'm still going to go to my version of heaven, and I go to heaven faster if I kill more of you, if I send more of you to hell. It's Old Testament shit. Trump is incapable of processing this. Democrats, by and large, have not had a difficulty understanding this. Look at Clinton, Obama, and Biden in terms of Biden getting us out of Afghanistan after Trump ran on getting us out, and the Republicans effectively just treating it like a real estate acquisition. Trump is there's nothing special about Donald Trump's take on the Middle East. It is exactly that of George Bush and George H.W. Bush and arguably Reagan and even Nixon to some degree. That this is the direction their philosophy has driven them over this time, as long as oil has mattered and as long as they are stuck to the idea of oil mattering. They can't see past it. This is the limit of their understanding. That's it. And the limit of their desired impact. Like, they have a mechanic that this is about real estate. I don't give a shit what these people believe. Eventually, we're going to have to kill them because that's that. And everybody else who thinks, well, it may not be necessary, and there have been big changes over history, back and forth. Eventually, we could work it out in a way that we have with other folks over time. The Japanese, for all the internment camp talk that's come up recently around ICE, I would ask people to recognize one of the reasons why there's been such a turnaround in U.S.-Japanese relations, and why. Oh, thanks. Hi. Look at that. Jim? Or, yep. Thank you. I got. She brought me a matcha protein latte from Starbucks, and you can't see it because of the green screen. So, just in case you're wondering why I'm drinking the Inviso drink, it's good stuff. So, Democrats have known that you can actually work it out with these people over time. Republicans have already decided that is the wrong path, and it's just we're on a path of inevitability. And that's what makes Donald Trump an average Republican. And again, I think this is one of the best curses you can put, to borrow the phrase that apparently Tucker and Candace are using all the time. You can curse him with this name. Because I got news for you. Like, one of the biggest realizations that I think is coming for maggots, and one of the best tools that Democrats can use, is to point out that Donald Trump is following the exact same line as every Republican before him in terms of tax cuts, eliminating health care, building a bigger wall between the economic classes, and specifically in terms of the war, philosophy, the militaristic philosophy of every Republican forum, which includes knocking off every oil supplier and putting them under the umbrella of the United States, whether it benefits us as a country long term or not, but it will certainly benefit their partners in the oil industry or their holdings themselves in those oil industries. Donald Trump is not a new era of make America great again, America first Republicans at all. He is typical. And that word and that description of him being a run-of-the-mill Republican will do more damage to him amongst maggots, because it's not, we know this, like it seems patently obvious. But when this starts to sink in for maggots, that's when the damage is done. That's when the ship sails, and that's when they start voting for, sensible Democrats in their district. People that fit their view a little closer, but aren't Republicans. That's what's going to happen. I'm telling you. Calling him evil, calling him Hitler or whatever, to them that is a defensible position, because if look at what they say this all the time. Everybody's mad. I must be doing something right. And my response to that is often, so people were just mad at Ted Bundy for being a good lawyer. That's what they were angry with him for. He was just pissing everybody off in the courtroom because he was too good a lawyer. It wasn't the women he beat and raped and killed and the 13-year-old girl he killed. It was that he was too good a lawyer. That's their reasoning. The right people are pissed off. I must be doing something right. Well, no. If they're pissed off because of the people that are being harmed, it has nothing to do with you, except that you're the activator of that harm. And when you talk about people who need health care, or who need housing, who need affordable housing, who need, just the ability to have the American dream as we know it, a lot of people are pissed at Donald Trump and the Republicans because they're fucking that up for everybody. And they're not just Democrats. And so this idea, like, we're pissing everybody off, we must be doing something right. Angela's asking if the commander that gave that message that I showed was an AI guy. No, he's not. He's a real person. You know how I know? Because it was so heavily edited. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah. He's a real person. He really did it. And they had to cut it together because he probably isn't that great on a teleprompter. And that they wouldn't have left the mistakes in because they're too egomaniacal. But here's the thing I really want people to get clear, is that if you want to drive maggots and Republicans who might support Trump crazy, the way you do it is not by calling him a Nazi and all this kind of stuff, because in some cases, in the Groyper maggot world, they kind of consider it a compliment, right? They consider it a code word for, you just don't like us when we have to do the tough thing you're too weak to do, right? They don't hear it the same way you do at all. You can't use shame with these people, I've said a bunch of times, but you can embarrass them. You can mock them, but you cannot. But the criticism they take is, if you're yelling and you're full of righteous indignation because it's earned and it's worthwhile and you're absolutely right to feel that way, they don't process it the same way. They just run video of you screaming because they think it's hilarious. He's a troll in terms of his presidency. However, there are a bunch of areas where you can get to him through them. And one of the biggest ones, Handy Girl says, I disagree, he's not a Republican. His policies that he passes are exactly that of the PNAC, the Project for a New American Century. The tax cut he passed was the one that Mitch McConnell had on his desk forever. And his border policies are the reason why Republicans have not signed on to by and large, the leadership especially, why they have not signed on to a border bill previously that would have passed with a majority vote. He is typical. He is very typical. And one of the things that drives, that drives the MAGA movement is this idea that he's special, that he's extraordinary, that he's new, and he's leaving the Republicans behind. But everything he's managed to accomplish, every law he has signed, and quite frankly, every page of Project 2025 that he has signed as an EO, is exactly what Republicans have been wanting for a long time. They got some of it. Oh my goodness, is that Phil coming in at the last second? It is. Oh, I get it. The time difference. Hold on one second.
Oh,
That's it. I see. We were so worried about. No, wait. Hold on. We welcome dear friend Philip Ittner, who is.
I'm sorry, I forgot. You guys changed time zones, didn't you?
Yes, we did. It's all right.
Oh, damn.
I got
sorry.
Fear not.
I'm sorry, man.
I appreciate you coming.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Totally slipped my mind.
Well, just remember for Saturday, because we were worried about you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Darn it.
That's okay.
I hate that when that happens.
I know. You'll be happy to know that I talked a lot about Ukrainian robots, and the fact that they have one that has been patrolling the zone for 45 days so far, and is basically the envy of Pete Hegseth currently. But I do have to run today at the end of the show, and I know you're,
sorry
I gotta
about
say,
that.
it's okay.
I'm sorry about that.
I think I speak on behalf of the chat room that we are glad you're okay, and that we're happy you're with us even for these moments, because we do get concerned. So
I'm kicking myself for having not thought about that. That you guys changed time.
It's okay. It's okay. I've always said, how is it that most people chat room remember how you remember it during the thing? It's spring. What's the phrase?
Yeah, but we don't do it. We don't do it. Spring forward, fall back.
Right.
We don't do it for another 2 weeks. I think another 2 weeks.
Right.
We do it here, but we do it. We don't do it the same as North America.
I remember it always
weeks to catch up.
I always remember it as
Sorry about that.
Fuck, and good. That's literally how I remember it. Like, fuck, I'm an hour late. I mean, I'm an hour early. I got some time to walk around.
Yeah, the only thing quickly to say, I suppose, that I'd want to just leave folks with before you go, and I know you got to rush, is, the U.S. has no idea what it's getting itself into with the drone war. Ukrainians do. So we should, be taking as many lessons from them as we possibly can. And in response, we should be helping them far more as well. So there are already Ukrainians in the theater of operations teaching Americans how to deal with stuff.
Right.
But if this really goes into it and we go into a drone war with Ukraine, with Iran. We have no idea what's coming our way. We are really ill prepared.
I agree.
So let's hope the Ukrainians get down there as quickly as possible.
Well, I do think it's one of the reasons why you have not heard a lot from Vance lately, and why a lot of people.
I'm angry at myself.
That's okay.
We really could have talked about this.
I agree. I agree.
It's something I do want to talk about.
Yeah, we'll add this. We'll table this for Saturday, because I have no doubt that it will be a big part of the conversation, and crucial to this. So if you want to, gather examples,
I'll make a note.
Yeah, and we'll
absolutely, and I'll make a note about the time difference change. And I'm really sorry.
That's okay.
Both to you, Hal, and to the audience.
We're just glad you're all right.
This is a topic we need to talk about.
Because
it's a topic we need to talk about. It. So
agreed.
I'm angry at myself for having made that mistake, and I apologize to you and to the audience.
I appreciate you coming at all, and I'm glad you're okay. And I will see you on Saturday for the show. And don't forget, everybody, check out On the Edge, Phil. And you got an extra, 55 minutes to work on your episode this week, I guess. But thanks so much. And tell Jake Bro we want to have him on the show, because I have some questions. All right,Ll talk to you later.
Yeah, okay. We'll do.
Okay,
right, bye.
Awesome. Well, I got to say, I'm so glad Phil was able to show up at all. That makes sense, though. It occurred Andre, I mean, it's late. It's at night for him, so he could have been out and about and forgot all about. He just figured he can roll in. I do that sometimes with our show. That I'm like, I can roll in, like when I'm in LA, and then I'm like, oh shit, this computer needs a complete update. I got to update all the software on this, and I got 5 minutes. I pulled it off. I'd like to say many, many times, and you guys never knew. But it's because I love you and I care and I fix shit. Apparently. Let's see. Oh, we're going to raid Cliff's Blue Ant Media. Everybody tell Cliff to come back on the show, and we got to talk to him as well. I love you guys so much. I appreciate all your support. Thank you for the super chats. Don't forget to subscribe. Remind your friends to subscribe. Share. We should even put a link in somewhere that we can, there's got to be a subscription button link. That seems to be wouldn't that make sense? Where you just hit that and then you're automatically subscribed if you have a YouTube account. Wouldn't that be simple enough to... Great, now I've given myself more homework. God darn. I got to get one of those cockroach AI things to go build something. But later we talk
Yeah. If
about Epstein files. That's right. And
ain't seen nothing. Yeah.
all right, I appreciate you guys. I'll see you later on. I got to go.
Black bar from my past, can't track this. Screenshots cropped out, can't catch this. If it looks too wild on the axis, highlight, right click, boom, redact this. Blur that face, can't fact check the madness.
Thank you guys. I will send your love to Summer
if the story get messy in the
as quickly as I can.
highlight, right click, boom, redact this. I was young, I was dumb, I was scrolling. Type way too much, hit send, heart swollen. Now I keep receipts like a lawyer with a folder, but anything risky get hit with the toner. Whole group chat, got tails, I ain't claim. If my name pop up, that's a typo, blame. Who's that in the pic? Man, that ain't go strange. That's a random stranger with a very close face. Understanding my friends, I plead don't recall. If they ask for the tape, it's a missing file. If they pull up the clip, that's deep fake style. If they show me the proof, I just smile. Like redact this. Black ball from my past, can't track this. Screenshots cropped out, can't catch this. If it looks too wild on the axis, highlight, right click, boom, redact this. Blur that face, can't fact check the madness. Torn out page from the bad habits atlas. If the story get messy in the ad-libs, highlight, right click, boom, redact. If it hit too close, that's a rumor I heard. If the dateline match, that's a clerical error. If the outfit match, that's a popular shirt. If the tattoo match, that's a stock photo search. I'm allergic to question coughing the light. I just added the end.
Nice, Connie, thanks. I don't know if that's a compliment or not. I'm going to answer in this week's TV Guide crossword puzzle. Another thing for my mom to collect. Aww.
Every X got a chapter I seal. Every text got a gap in the reel. I ain't lying, I'm curating the reveal. Just trimming little bits of the raw. Real deal, if you saw, you didn't. If you know, you didn't. If you talk, I'm clipping. If they ask, we glitching. Swipe that name out, crop that frame out. If it made me look foul, delete then fade out. Black ball from my past, can't track this. Screenshots cropped out, can't catch this. If it looks too wild on the axis, highlight, right click, boom, redact this. Blur that face, can't fact check the madness. Torn out page from the bad habits atlas. If the story get messy in the ad-libs, highlight, right